You are welcome. This is the Messiah channel, End Time Prophetic channel. Today we are looking at the sins of the Hebrews. We are looking at the sins committed by the Hebrews and the lessons that we can learn from the sins which were committed by the Hebrews. We are focusing on 5 of them. And the first one is provoking God to anger. The sin of provoking God to anger. And God can be angered. He's merciful, and his mercies endureth forever. But at the same time, the Lord is a Lord of wrath, and he can be provoked to anger. And that sin was committed during the Exodus, and it was committed as a result of unbelief. And the Israelites did not believe in what God can do and what God was going to do for them. And so they reached a point on their exodus to from Egypt, and they saw the Pharaoh, the chariots, and the horses coming after them. And they provoked the Lord to anger because they told Moses, "Why are you taking us from Egypt and you want us to go and die in the wilderness? We would have been better. We will be better in Egypt than dying in the wilderness." And so the Lord actually showed them a sign, and you know what happened? Exodus chapter 14, reading from verse 10 to 15. And Moses calmed them down because Moses had faith in the Lord, but the Hebrews did not trust the Lord. And Moses told them, wait until you see your salvation today. The Egyptians that you see today, you will see them no longer. Exodus chapter 14, verse 13. The Hebrews today still are provoking God to anger. You hear a black person saying that, "Why did the Lord created me black?" I'm talking about people who are provoking God to anger, and they are questioning their skin color. They are questioning where they were born. And some people make foolish statement that they wish they would have been born in Europe or in America or other part of the world. They are questioning the integrity of God. They are provoking Elohim to anger. The Israelites did that. They provoked the Lord to anger because they question why the Lord would take them from the land of bondage and let them go and die in the wilderness. And the Lord was making his plans to show his power, and the power was to destroy Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horses. And it happened in the Red Sea. The Lord was going to do a miracle, but the Hebrews didn't know, and they provoked him to anger. At the time of the coming of the Messiah, the Messiah is coming very soon. Yeshua is coming very soon. And the Hebrews are still provoking the Lord to anger. If you hold an LGBT flag, if you hold any flag that is an abomination unto the Lord, you are provoking the Lord to anger. I was watching a video, and a lady, she's an American, a black American, and she is talking about LGBT people of color. She is fighting. She is an activist for LGBT. She's a black woman, and she wants protection to be given to her. First of all, she's a woman. Secondly, she's a black person. She needs protection for both identities, and now she's claiming protection for a third identity. She is a lesbian or probably a transgender, and so she's claiming protection in America for her status as a black woman in America, um, and also as a person who identifies with LGBT. And so many churches are provoking the Lord to anger, and they are holding marriage ceremonies for people of the same sex, and they are um, provoking the Lord. And you have to remember how the Lord responded to the provocation which happened at the gates of Sodom and Gomorrah. And so that's the first sin, provoking the Lord to anger. Even at the time when Africans got independence, some people were even saying that their lives were better under European colonial rule. Independence did not bring any freedom to them, and some of them want to go back to colonial rule. You can see the provocation, and the Lord helped the downtrodden to get independence, and but still, some of them still want to go back to European colonial rule. Some of the Hebrews want to go back to Egypt. They want to go back to the days of Egypt, and they were questioning the wisdom in transferring them from Egypt to the wilderness. That's a sin, provoking the Lord to anger. Don't provoke the Lord to anger by holding an LGBT flag, because um, the Lord will destroy um, the LGBT flag and those who adhere to the philosophy of the LGBT in the same way that he destroyed the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. If you want to see how God is provoked to anger, then you have to read the story in Genesis, Genesis um, chapter 19, dealing with the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Don't provoke the Lord to anger. The second way that the Hebrews provoked the Lord to anger was envying Moses, despising Moses, ridiculing Moses, challenging the authority of Moses. And that is a sin. It's a sin to despise, to ridicule, and to challenge somebody who is the mouthpiece, the spokesperson, and the prophet of Elohim. And that was a sin. And the Lord let the Hebrews know it was a sin. It was something that angered the Lord. And so you know the results. Miriam, who challenged Moses, she had a plague. She had leprosy. And why did she have leprosy? She had leprosy because of how she dealt with her brother Moses, the prophet of God. And the Lord told them that if there be a prophet among you, I will speak to him, and I will show myself to him in visions. I will speak to him in dreams, and I will reveal myself to him in visions. So the Hebrews challenged the authority of Moses, the prophet of God, and you know the results. Um, Miriam, who was a leading architect of rebellion against Moses, she suffered leprosy as a sign, as a warning, as a rebuke. She was lucky that the Lord did not even kill her. Unfortunately, people are abusing the scriptures, and they refer to what happened to Miriam as um, they refer to it, they use it to protect themselves. I'm talking about false prophets who are in the world today. They do something that's wrong, they falsely prophesy, and they teach demonic doctrines. And when you challenge it, they tell you, don't touch my anointed, do my prophets no harm. And they will refer you to what happened to Miriam when the Lord struck her with leprosy. And this is an abuse of scripture. And what happened to Miriam was God punishing her because of her challenging the authority of Moses, who was a genuine prophet, um, a prophet sent by God. Moses was a genuine prophet sent by God, and he was the only prophet who actually had face-to-face conversation with Elohim at that time. And so touching Moses was touching the apple of the eyes of Elohim, and Miriam suffered um, that retribution, suffered that punishment, and that punishment was very severe. Leprosy was a severe disease, and that was a sign that you cannot touch the anointed of God. And as I said, a lot of people nowadays, including fake prophets on the internet, and they are misinterpreting the scripture that says, don't touch my anointed. Um, Somebody can be anointed, but still can err, can still commit sin. And the examples are many. The sins of King David, anointed of God, but he still committed adultery, and it took a prophet Nathan, to go and tell him that he had done something wrong. And David humbled himself, and he fasted, and he asked for um, forgiveness. He repented of his sins. And so, despising the prophet of God, ridiculing the prophet of God, challenging the authority of God without any basis is a sin. And if you are doing that, you need to stop that. And if you are anointed of God, you cannot shield yourself by saying that you are anointed, you are quote unquote a prophet, and so nobody can touch you. Um, the Lord touched King David, the son that he had with Bathsheba through adulterous relationship. The son died, and it was a signal to David that even though you are a prophet, that doesn't give you the license to sin. The third sin committed by the Hebrews is despising the promised land, ridiculing the promised land, saying bad things about the promised land. And you are aware what happened when spies were sent to the promised land. Moses sent spies to the promised land, and they came, and then they gave their reports, and most of them gave bad reports, and except few of them, two of them, and they despised the promised land, the land of milk and honey, and the land chosen by Elohim himself to give to his people. But the spies, the Hebrew spies who went there, they despised the promised land. They said bad things about the promised land. And you know the results. As a result of that, only two people were able to enter the promised land. Two people over the age 20. only Joshua and Caleb. Two people, Joshua and Caleb. All of them, the others were killed on the wilderness and by wild beasts, by snakes, by hunger and thirst, because the Lord said that He will not allow them to enter the promised land because of their disobedience, despising the promise of God. And if you question the promises of God, you are committing the sin that was committed by the Hebrews in the wilderness, which resulted in all Hebrews above 20 years old not entering the promised land, except two of them, Joshua and Caleb. Now, these people are despising heaven. Uh, there's a story, it's a true story, that of Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who was an Anglican Archbishop from South Africa. He was pro-LGBT and probably LGBT himself, gay person himself, and he is one of those people who falsely teach that you can be a Christian, you can be a saint, you can be a Hebrew and homosexual at the same time. And he made a blasphemous statement that he would not worship God if God is homophobic. And of course, he claimed that God is homophobic because God is against homosexuality. He knows the story of the destruction, the story about the destruction of the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, and he also knows the future destruction of the sons of rebellion, including those practice homosexuality. And he despised heaven. He said he will not enter heaven. Doesn't want to enter heaven if God is homophobic. An archbishop, Anglican archbishop, a friend of Nelson Mandela, a civil rights leader in South Africa, who was even awarded with a Nobel Prize. He blasphemed heaven in the same way that the Hebrews blasphemed the promised land. And the sin of Archbishop Desmond Tutu is worse than the sin committed by the Hebrews. The Hebrews blasphemed the promised land, the land of Canaan. Archbishop Desmond Tutu, he blasphemed and heaven, the dwelling place, the habitation of Elohim, the Most High, the one who created heavens and earth. Don't blaspheme the Lord. If you blaspheme the Lord, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Despising the promised land. Numbers 14, verses 1 to 4, the story of Joshua and Caleb, the only Hebrews, adult Hebrews, who were given permission to enter the promised land. All of them died. So only the children, the young ones, were able to enter the promised land, but the older ones, the elderly, who despised the promised land, they did not enter the promised land. A lot of pastors are preaching that there's no heaven. They are despising heaven. They are saying bad things about heaven. They are blaspheming the habitation of the Most High. They are blaspheming the habitation of the saints. And they are saying bad things about heaven. And they will not enter the presence of Elohim for despising heaven. And the story of Joshua and Caleb should be a lesson to them, because they were the only people who said good things about the land of Canaan when they were sent to spy on the land of Canaan. And for that reason, the Lord rewarded them with the privilege of entering the promised land. The fourth sin committed by the Hebrews are mingling with the heathen. the Lord said you should not mingle with the heathen. It was the law at that time, and it is the law presently. Don't mingle with the heathen. Don't hate the heathen, but you have to remember that if you are a saint, if you are a Hebrew, you are not supposed to mingle with the heathen. And you can read Psalms 106 verse 35. The scripture tells you, one, be ye separate. You are a pilgrim in this world. If you are a saint, if you are a Hebrew, you are a pilgrim in this world, and you are supposed to be separate. Be ye separate from this world. You are not part of this world. Be ye separate. You are not supposed to eat food offered to idols. And you can use the case of Daniel. You can use Daniel as a model, a Hebrew man who was sent into captivity, and he was sent into the palace of the king of Babylon. And they gave him food and meat offered to idols. And he said, I will not eat food, I will not eat meat offered to idols, because I'm a Hebrew and I am holy. I am set apart as a holy person for a holy God, and I will not eat food, I will not eat meat, I will not take any drink that is offered to idols. So don't mingle with the heathen. At the time we're making this video, you know what is happening in the world. Hebrews are mingling with the heathen, and that is unfortunate, because the heathen does not believe in the Most High. The heathen is godless. Their philosophy is a godless philosophy, and their philosophers are atheists, and they are uh, rebels, they are anti-God, and they are using all kinds of philosophy to mock God, to hate God, to despise God. And their philosophy includes um, words in their constitution. And in their constitution, they make it clear that they don't worship any God, and they allow their citizens to worship any other God. You can use the American Constitution as an example: freedom of religion, and the doctrine of separation of church and state. Um, Congress of America will not establish any religion and will not prevent the free exercise of any religion. And so you can worship any idol in America, and that is okay. That is in the Constitution. But the law of Elohim is different. Don't mingle with the heathen. If you mingle with the heathen, you will not enter the presence of the Most High. The Hebrews were sent into captivity in Egypt. They were sent into Assyria. They were sent into Babylon, and they mingle with the heathen, and they imbibe the pagan culture of Babylon. And up till now, the Hebrews who are still scattered over the world, they have learned the pagan culture. Sororities in universities, um, Masonic brotherhoods, they are all pagan in nature. They are part of the Babylonian paganism. And so if somebody is a Mason, he is practicing Babylonian um, idol worship. If somebody is a Hebrew, is also a member of the Mason, is a member of the Illuminati. He is worshiping other gods. It's all part of the pagan culture, mingling with the heathen. And Psalm 106 verse 35 will tell you how it happened in Israel and the Hebrews. That is a sin against God, is a prohibition. Don't mingle with the heathen. Don't imbibe the heathen culture. Be ye separate. And of course, the angel warned the people of the Most High in Babylon, come out of her, my people. Do not mingle with them. Come out of her, because if you mingle with the heathen, then you will learn their sins, and the consequence is that you will receive the plagues intended for uh, the, the heathen, the Babylonians. Come out of her. Be ye separate, so that you do not receive the plagues, you do not partake of the sins, and you do not receive the plagues. The Hebrews mingled with the heathen, and they forgot the laws of Elohim, and they became part of the heathen culture. Be ye separate, come out of her, come out of Babylon, my people. And the last sin we're talking about, seven idols, is part of the Ten Commandments. The Lord Elohim is one, and the only God, the true God in the world. Don't have any other gods besides Elohim. It's a commandment, both in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. An idol is anything that stands between you and the Most High. And idols of gold, idols of silver, and this time people are worshiping so many kinds of idols, idols of dollar worshippers. They believe in the worship of money. They believe in mammon, and you cannot worship God and worship Mammon at the same time. And some of them are worshiping celebrities, celebrity worship, um, football players and basketball players, soccer players, musicians in Hollywood. And when it comes to African, they also have their own version of Hollywood. They call it Nollywood. And if you go to Ghana, they have their own version, Kumawood, referring to Kumasi, a town in the Ashanti region, where people do movies. And it has become part of idol worship. And there's another form of idol worship where people worship their leaders, they worship their presidents. Idol worship goes on in America. Idol worship goes on in the Middle East. Idol worship, worshiping their leaders, worshiping their presidents. It goes on in Africa. Some of them worship their pastors. They give them all kinds of titles, and some of them worship their kings. I was worshiping I was watching a video, and I saw people worshiping their king in Ghana, and they refer to their king as our God. And they are Ashantis. And I said in my video that the Ashantis are Hebrews. And if in 2025 Hebrews are worshiping a king as a god, it tells you that we are still in idolatry. Don't worship any idol if you are a Hebrew, if you are a saint, because it is an abomination. The worshiping of money is idolatry. The worshiping of your president is idolatry. The worshiping of your rabbi, the worshiping of your pastor is idolatry. The worshiping of celebrities is an idolatry. And if you read Jeremiah chapter 50, a time will come when the Lord will strike the idols of Babylon, including the idols who are presidents, including the idols who are kings, the adults who are celebrities, they are rappers, they are musicians, they are pastors. The Lord will not share his glory with an idol. And so in Revelation chapter 22, verse 15, Apostle John saw classes of people who were standing beyond the gates of heaven because they will not be allowed to enter heaven. And it includes idolaters. Idolatry is a sin. And it was because of the sin of idolatry that the Hebrews were scattered over the world, and they are still in captivity over the world. And unfortunately, some of the Hebrews are still worshiping idols, idols of money, silver and gold, idols of dollar, idols of euros, idols of pound, um, idols of yen. They are worshiping their celebrities, rappers, singing songs and music, mingle with heathen customs and culture, still committing the sin of idolatry for which the Lord sent his people into captivity. Come out of her, my people, so that you do not receive the plagues of Babylon, you do not partake of the sins, and you do not receive the plagues. Remember your ancestors, what they went through. And so if you read Zechariah chapter 1 verse 6, it asks you a question. Remember your ancestors, the rebellion that they initiated against God, and how the Lord destroyed them with captivity, and let that be your guide. Remember Joshua and Caleb, the only two adult people who were allowed to enter the land of Canaan. Thank you. And also remember Moses, what he did, striking the rock more than necessary in anger, and for that reason he was not allowed to see the promised land. Thank you for watching this video. My email is raptureafrica@yahoo.com. I'm leaving it in the description.